Hey there friends, and thanks for joining me again here in my living room. And today I want to talk to you about a subject that's pretty important actually, because it's such a big expense in our budgets these days, and it's groceries. Groceries, there's a lot of differing statistics out there and things like that, but for the most part, from what I could find, the average family of four spends about $1,000 a month on groceries alone, and that doesn't even account for the average family eating out another 4 times a week. So when you add the total amount that it costs to feed a family of four for a month, it can actually be a really big expense. Depending on where you live and the different expenses that you have, it can be anywhere from your biggest expense to the second or third biggest expense in our households. But either way, it's a lot of money that we're devoting to our food these days. And so I have 35 ways for you to help save on your groceries. So hopefully something on here will help you, and I know not everything's going to help everyone, but hopefully there'll be something for everyone here. So the first thing I would recommend is tracking monthly expenses. It's really hard to tell how much we're really spending on something if we're not really watching our budgets. So if you track how much you spend per month, save all your receipts and things like that, you can really get an idea of how much you're spending, and it might just surprise you on how much it really does cost. And so tracking those things, we can find out, where the money is going better, and then better put together our budgets. And then when we start putting things into practice on how to save money, we'll better know how much we're saving too. So that's definitely a good place to start, is track those monthly expenses. The second thing I would recommend is obviously cooking at home. The average family eating out those 4 times a week adds to those grocery bills. And eating out is a lot more expensive than eating at home. So cooking at home creates a nice, amount of family time that we can spend with our family and eat a nice, good quality homemade dinner and things like that together. And that's, you can control the ingredients and things like that when you're cooking at home anyway. So cooking at home could definitely save a lot of money. Also cooking from scratch, cooking at home is a good step if you're already used to eating out. Making some things that, taking some help from some of the, prepackaged things and things from the grocery stores saves money. You can even take that a little bit of a step further by even making something from scratch. Then you can really control everything that's in it and whatnot. And it's not only cheaper, but it's a lot healthier too. So there's multi-benefits there. And the next thing I would recommend is maybe even growing what you use or what's most expensive. So if there are certain things you just eat a lot of, if you like to garden, which is my absolute favorite hobby, I highly recommend it. It's really fun. But just grow a garden and grow the things that you use, and or even what's most expensive, because if it's expensive to buy, if you can produce it yourself, then you'll really be saving a lot of money that way. So growing food is definitely a good way to help save money. And the next recommendation I have is probably one of my favorites, and it's discount grocery stores. There are lots of different grocery stores out there that are discount ones. Some of them are independent, some are chain, and so I don't know what you have in your area, but if you haven't been visiting one lately, or if you're not in a routine of it, I would highly recommend tracking one down and trying it out. Because, it's not always expired food or bad and stuff like that. Oftentimes grocery stores will just order more of what they need, and so they'll the discount grocery store will end up getting it, and then you'll get to get it for, half of what you would have paid for at a normal grocery store. Something that's perfectly good and well within date, and so I highly recommend this one for sure. It also helps us to have a nice variety and to not be so stuck in our ways as far as what we eat, because we're getting different things all the time, and so it's really a good way to add nice variety to our dinner or our diets and things like that. And it's even helped my kids to be less picky because they don't get used to the same things the same all the time, and so they're really open to trying new things and things like that, which is helpful. So multi-benefits there too. So discount grocery stores, definitely. My next recommendation would be buying in bulk. Things that you use frequently, like something that you would buy every week. If you go to maybe a bigger store, or you can buy a bigger portion of it at once, you can save a lot of money buying it all at once and then using it for several weeks rather than buying it every week, in a smaller portion. So you can save money that way by stocking up and buying in bulk, and then you get the added benefit also of not having to worry about running out. So bulk can definitely be helpful. And then, you can even freeze or can some of the stuff if you're buying in bulk on fresh foods and things like that. And so preserving some of your own foods can also save a lot of money, whether you're just throwing them all in the freezer while stuff is on sale, or while it's in season, just preserve it and then save a lot of money that way. Or even meals. Making or canning meals can be a good way to not only save time sometimes, on those days that you have to work late and then you come home and you're maybe tempted to eat out or just eat some sort of, something that's quicker and things like that. It can save you a lot of time from having to make something on those days, or it can save you a lot of money from, helping to beat that temptation from wanting to eat out or whatnot. So, maybe even making and freezing meals ahead can be helpful. My next recommendation sounds kind of backwards from the way that most people do things, and it's buy things first and then meal plan after. A lot of people will put together a meal plan of all the stuff that they want to eat that week, and then they'll list all the ingredients they need for all those things, and then they'll go out grocery shopping. The problem with that is when you put together what meals it is you want to eat, some of those ingredients may not be available for inexpensive. So finding what you can find at the discount grocery stores, or going your grocery shopping and seeing what's there first and then putting your meal plan together after can actually save a fair amount of money, because you're really going for those things that are inexpensive or what you have already, that you've already bought in bulk and things like that. And so this is a big money saver in my opinion, if you can find what you can find first at these discount grocery stores and things, and then meal plan around that. So I think that helps a lot. My next recommendation is reducing food waste. I personally absolutely cannot stand wasting food. It literally feels like I'm opening my wallet and just throwing the food or the money right in the trash can. Because if you're buying your food and then throwing it away, it's basically the same thing. It really is kind of like throwing money away. So I really make sure to go through my fridge often and things like that, look for those things that look like they're about to go bad, and then planning around what I need to get rid of, and then it really helps to reduce food waste. So this is better for the environment too, because it can be hard, to have to grow all these things only for us to waste it anyway. So it's really good for us to make sure that we're trying our best to reduce what we're wasting. Maybe even eat leftovers. My husband loves leftovers, so that can be a good way to help reduce food waste too. And then my next recommendation, a lot of people say eat before you go to the grocery store, but I would even take that up another level to eat what you crave before you go to the grocery store. So maybe if you have a sweet tooth like me, if you eat something sweet before you go, you're less likely to, have impulse buys, which is another way that we can wreck our budgets by buying things we really don't need, but things that we like. So, if you have a preference for salty things and you like chips and things like that, if you eat that before you go, you're less likely to want those chips when you're at the grocery store, and so you're less likely to buy them. So eat what it is you crave before you go, and that can help reduce those impulse buys for things like snack foods and things like that, so that helps a lot. My next recommendation, of course, is sale items. Sale and or even clearance items. I've saved a lot of money this way, buying things from the grocery store where there's something and it's, going to go out of date within 3 or 4 days, and so they want to get rid of it quickly. They throw it on the clearance rack, and then I get it for way less money, and we make sure to use it, before it goes bad, so it works out really well. So sale and clearance items can really help a lot. And also stocking up. So stocking up on things that you find on sale or clearance, especially if they're things that you're going to use, can really save a lot of money also. So when something goes on sale, don't just buy one, and then the next week buy another one, and then the next week buy another one. When those next 2 weeks it wasn't on sale, make sure you go ahead and buy a whole bunch of them when they're on sale, keep them in your pantry or whatnot, and then you continue to use them over time until it goes on sale again, and then you restock your supply. So this not only saves a lot of money, but it can also make sure that you don't run out of things that you frequently use, and so you always have the things you like available, which is convenient. The next thing I would recommend is checking unit prices. Just this last week at the grocery store, I was looking at 2 items, and one was $2.88 and the other one was $2.99. Well, the $2.88 item had 12 ounces of this product in it, whereas the $2.99 one had 16 ounces of product. So when you actually look at the unit price, the price per ounce, the one that was a little bit more money was actually a lot better deal because of all the extra food that you got included in there. So definitely check those unit prices. Just because something is the cheapest doesn't necessarily mean it's the best deal. So look at those, per ounce or whatnot, unit prices, and then make sure you're picking the one that's the best deal. And oftentimes it's the things that you're buying in the bulk, which we already covered. The next thing I would highly recommend is buying food in their raw forms. When you're buying something that's like pre-cooked and all you have to do is, quick throw this little pouch in a microwave or something like that, those items can be exponentially more expensive than buying food in its raw form and then making it on your own. So, again, it's healthier also to be able to control your ingredients, and then you can save a lot of money by making it yourself also. Avoiding processed foods is another one. Processed foods are really expensive, and they're also loaded with a lot of different types of chemicals, MSG, and preservatives and things like that. And so, again, this one isn't not only going to help save money because you're buying foods that are, they're basic ingredients, but it's also going to be healthier too. So a lot of these things have multi-benefits, really. And the next thing I would recommend is doing the work yourself. We just had the 4th of July weekend, and it seemed like a lot of people were bringing foods that they didn't have to work for. Pre-cut carrots and watermelon that was already cut into cubes and things like that. When you're willing to buy the foods and do that extra work yourself, lettuces, a whole head of lettuce that you have to wash and chop rather than those bags of those pre-cut, pre-washed lettuces and things like that, you can really save yourself a lot of money. I found it to be at least double expensive to have to buy those foods that are have all those things pre-done for you than if you were just willing to do them yourself. So be willing to do the extra work. You'll save yourself a lot of money. The next thing I would recommend is be careful with coupons. I mean, coupons can be a good way to save money, but at the same time, some of them might tempt you to buy things you wouldn't normally be willing to buy, or they might be items that are less healthy, things that are processed foods and things like that. So while coupons can definitely help for things that you would normally buy, just be careful with them. And then if you do use them, the best way I have found is if you can find something on sale and use a coupon with it, then you can really get good deals that way, especially if you can do those things and stock up. So definitely very helpful. Coupons can be helping to save those money. And the next thing would be store brands. A lot of times people are, and my husband included, a long time ago we had this discussion where he was brand name, and so I made him do this blind taste test where we tested 2 types of like cereals, and so he had to try both of them and then decide which one he liked better. And in the blind taste test, he actually chose the store brand over the name brand. And so that was the end of that, brand name thing for him. So from then on, we just bought store brands because a lot of them are just as good of a quality as the name brands. They just have a nice cheaper price tag. So just making those swaps for those store brands can really save a lot of money. The next thing I would recommend is price matching. Walmart is a really good place to do price matching, but there are other stores that do that also. So, if there are sales on items over at this store, if you go to this store and you show them, hey, this item is on sale over there, they'll honor that price and whatnot. So price matching can save a lot of money and time from having to go to a whole bunch of different stores if the store that you're going to will just honor the other store's prices. So, and this works for other places like home improvement stores and things like that, just on an off note. So this can also help on save money, not just on groceries, but price matching can be a good, helpful way to save money. Watch the register is my next one. King Super is another store I go to. If something rings up wrong, if it rings up like it's regular price and it's actually supposed to be on sale, they give you the item for free. So I watch that register, I make sure that things are ringing up at the price they're supposed to be, and if something does not come up correctly and they have to change it or whatnot, we've gotten lots of items for free that way. And even if your store doesn't do them, for free, paying the full price when you thought you were going to pay that sale price can, be more money than you wanted to spend. And so, it can save a lot of money just by paying attention. So watching that register and those numbers that are coming up can be a helpful way to save money also. So my next one would be fish, hunt, and forage for food that's free. So rather than going to the grocery store and buying fish, have a nice outing with the family and go fishing, and then maybe even put some in your freezer or whatnot. If you like to eat meat and you have the ability to hunt or whatnot, go out hunting and then stock up on your meat that way. Forage, there are lots of different, fruits and things like that are out there just for the taking for free if we're willing to actually go out there. And you can create a lot of good, family memories by doing this also. So just go look around and see what you can find and get that free food. My next recommendation would be to be selective with organics, if you don't have it in your budget to be able to buy all organic. There's this list that comes out every year. It's called the Dirty Dozen list, and it's the 12 basically most pesticide and herbicide laden foods out there. So if you can't afford to buy organic food, for health reasons and things like that, for all of your fruits and vegetables, just look at that list and see what has the highest levels of pesticides and herbicides and buy organics in those particular things. And then for things that don't technically have as much pesticide and herbicide and things like that, stuff with thick skins that you're going to take off anyway and things like that, you go ahead and buy the conventional on those ones, and then it's not going to be that big of a deal as far as health on those types of things. The next thing I would recommend would be finding alternatives to things that are expensive that are cheaper. My family, I mentioned earlier, they're really not very picky, and so not long ago I know a lot of people make spaghetti and they'll put like meat in it. Well, meat's really expensive, so recently I threw some garbanzo beans in there and I decided to have garbanzo bean spaghetti. And my family really loved it. They asked for it again. They made sure that I would make it again in the future. So you never know. It might be interesting to try new things and whatnot. And so making swaps for things that are less expensive versus things that are expensive can really help our budgets a lot, especially since there are a lot of things out there that are really expensive. The next thing I would recommend is packing a lunch. Eating out, again, is really expensive, and so packing your lunch can also, make sure you're making healthier choices, and it can make our budgets, really stretch a lot further. So I highly recommend that. Bringing drinks from home, again, that's another one of those things where it's not food technically, but just by bringing a bottle of water with us to this event that we're going to can make it so we don't have to spend the $2 or whatever it is for a bottle of water at a lot of places that we go. So bring your drinks with you, even things like coffee and things like that. I mean, Starbucks, their drinks are like $3 to $5 each, whereas coffee from home is just a tiny fraction of that. So bring your drinks and things like that from home, and you can save a lot of money that way too. My next recommendation would be like different types of apps and rebates and rewards and things like that. My mom is actually having good luck with this cashback reward that Walmart offers, where if something's on sale somewhere else and you bought it there, they just give you the cash back for whatever it is that you bought. So I don't know. There's lots of them out there. I don't want to make any recommendations for them specifically, but there are lots of different rebates that different stores have, rewards that different stores will offer, and then apps that can help you save money if you're technology minded, and you can look that kind of thing, those types of things up and see what works for you in that way. Really quickly, a couple things that I want to mention that I don't do to save money. The first thing is sticking to a list. Now, I know a lot of people, are told stick to your list. This is the best way to save money. But for me, sticking to a list will cause me to pass by things that I have an opportunity to get. Things that I didn't necessarily have on my list, but I go in there and I'm like, oh my gosh, they're clearancing out this item that we use all the time. If I stock up on a whole bunch of them, put them all in my chest freezer or whatnot and use it slowly, we can save ourselves a lot of money in the future. So, being really stuck on my list would, again, cause me to pass by things and opportunities that I wouldn't have wanted to pass by. So while lists are a good, useful tool, don't, stick too much to a list if there are good, sale items and things like that that you can stock up on. The next thing I would highly recommend not doing would be buying poor quality food. Everybody knows that, junk food and things like that is much cheaper than buying, fresh fruits and vegetables and things like that. But buying poor quality food isn't just going to cost us more in the long run with our health, but, it's really just not a good idea to jeopardize our health and things that way, because doctor bills are a whole lot more expensive than our grocery bills can be. So, that's definitely one I would highly recommend not doing. Poor quality food is not worth it. And then the next thing I would recommend is not budgeting too harshly weekly. Going back to that very first recommendation I made of budgeting monthly, if there's only this much money to spend in a week and you go past that on items that you know that you would need eventually, again, those sale items and things like that, you would again pass by things that you could end up saving money in the long run on. So I make sure to track my monthly expenses, and then if week per week I spend a little more because I've got some things in bulk and some other things on sales and things like that that I know would save me in the long run, then at the end of the month it all balances out. So I wouldn't recommend budgeting too harshly or on a weekly basis. That way you're not going to be passing by opportunities. So there you go, friends. I think I need to drink my tea now. It's really, that was a lot of talking. But anyway, hopefully some of these, methods will be helpful to you, at least in some way. Again, I know some of these are going to be helpful to some of you and maybe not all of them to others. But I would like to know what you do. What do you do to save money on your groceries? What of these items have you on this list that have you tried? Is there anything I've forgotten that you would like to add? I would like to hear from you and then share with all the rest of us, so we can all be helping each other. So I'm really glad that you joined me here today, and I hope to see you next time. I'm Frugal Green Girl. Thanks for watching.